This movie introduces the Save for Web and Devices window, where you'll optimize images for the web. I'm starting here in Photoshop proper with a photograph on which I've finished working. I've tweaked the image, I've cropped it, I've added some adjustments, I've resized a copy for the web, and now I'm ready to optimize. You'll notice that this is a .psd file, a file in the native Photoshop format. That's a format that a web browser won't display. So one thing I want to do when I optimize is to convert this photo to a format that can be displayed on a web browser, like JPEG. And the other thing I want to do is to make the photo as small as I can so that it will download relatively fast in a viewer's web browser. To optimize, I'm going to go to the File menu at the top of the screen, and I'm going down to Save for Web and Devices. That opens the Save for Web and Devices window. I'm going to click on its title bar here and move it so that you can see that it really is a completely separate interface from Photoshop proper, where the original image is still open below. The first thing I'm going to do here is to click on this tab that says 2 Up. In the 2 Up view, you see two views of the image. On the left is the original PSD format image, and I know that because it says so right down here at the bottom of the image, and it also tells me there the size of the original image, which is 437 kilobytes. In the view on the right, I see the image optimized with all of the controls that are currently set over here on the right side of the Save for Web and Devices window. So it just so happens that right now the image is set to optimize in the JPEG format, which is usually the best format for a photograph, and to optimize with high quality and some other settings as well. At the bottom of the preview window, you can see the file format and its size with the current settings, and you also can see a rough estimate of the amount of time it would take a viewer's browser to download this image with this particular speed internet connection. And if you click the menu to the right of that, you can set that estimate to show you estimated download times with other kinds of internet connections. But please remember that these are just estimates and should be taken with a grain of salt. I'm going to go up to the top of the screen and I'm going to choose the 4 Up tab now to show you that view. Some people prefer to work this way because here you can see not only the original image in one of the 4 previews, but you see 3 other previews. And you can click on a preview and set the controls, then click on another preview and set the controls in a different way, and do the same yet one more time. And then you can compare the appearance of each preview as well as the file size of each preview. And those are the 2 properties that you want to keep your eye on always when you're optimizing an image. Because the challenge is that reducing file size so that the file downloads fast on the viewer's end can cause the appearance of the image to degrade. So your goal when you're optimizing is to try to make the image small in file size but also retain relatively good image quality. Let's see what else is here in the Save for Web window. On the top left, there is an abbreviated toolbox with some tools that you'll recognize from Photoshop proper, like a zoom tool for zooming in and out on your image, a hand tool for moving around in an image that's too big to fit in one of the previews, an eyedropper tool for sampling color, and more. Notice this light blue border around this preview. That's there because I just clicked on that preview. If I click on the next preview, then that's the one that's selected, and any changes that I make to the controls on the right will affect only that preview. We'll be looking at the controls on the right in great detail in other movies, but I do want to point out a couple of new and changed items here. Here are the color management controls. In previous versions of Photoshop, these were hidden behind some menus and hard to find, and they've been moved to the face of this window so they're easier to access. This is a new field in Photoshop CS4, the metadata field, which allows you to add copyright, contact, and other information to your optimized images. The color table here is used when you're optimizing GIFs or Ping 8s, which have limited numbers of colors, and we'll be looking at the color table in detail too in other movies. Beneath that, you have the image size controls, which also have moved in this version of the program, and they're used to change the dimensions of the image from inside this window, so you don't have to cancel out, resize an image, and then come back in if you change your mind about its size. Beneath that are controls for previewing animated GIFs, which we'll also be looking at. When you're all done with the optimization controls, you'll click Save, and that will save an optimized version of the file ready for the web. The Cancel button just closes the Save for Web and Devices window if you change your mind about optimizing, and the Done button does the same thing, except that when it closes the window, it remembers the current optimization settings so that the next time you open the image in this window, you'll see those optimization settings to start with. The Preview button is also an important one. and it's become more prominent in this version of the program. If this is the first time that you're using Save for Web and Devices, you may see a question mark on top of this Preview in Browser icon right here, and that means that you need to set up the preview function to recognize the web browsers on your computer. Here's how you do that. I'm going to click the arrows to the right of the Preview in Browser icon and choose Edit List. In the Browsers box that opens, I'm going to click Find All, and Photoshop goes out and finds the web browsers that I have installed on my computer. I can set any one of these to be the default browser. I'm just going to leave things as they are and click OK. And now you can see that that icon has changed to the Safari web browser icon because that is the browser that I chose as the default. And what that means is that when I click the preview button right here, with one of the preview windows selected, my Safari web browser opens, showing me a preview of the optimized image with the optimization settings that I had chosen for that particular preview. And you'll see there's also some information about the image down here. I'm going to close that Safari web browser window and show you that I can then click on the Preview in Browser icon menu and choose to see the image in one of my other browsers. And it's a good idea to preview your images in more than one browser because your audience is also likely to be using different browsers. If you're wondering what this Device Central button does, it will take you to Adobe Device Central, an application for developing and testing content for mobile devices like cell phones. So that's an overview of the Save for Web and Devices window. In the upcoming movies in this chapter, I'll be showing you how to use the controls in this window to optimize photographs and graphics for the web.